Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Great guest today. Clay Harbor breaks it down when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles, the new coaching hires, the Super Bowl, the number one reason the Eagles are not in the Super Bowl, the number one reason the Eagles, unfortunately, just were terrible, as we all know by now. We'll get into all that with Clay Harbor coming up in just a little bit. Today's NBA trade deadline day, so I have the Sixers on the brain a lot today. After watching last night's game against the Golden State Warriors, I had this horrific memory come back to my mind. And I watched the Sixers through the process years. I watched the most college basketball I ever watched through the process years, mainly because I love the sport of basketball, love the sport of basketball, and it was the only good basketball. It was college basketball. Also, it was never more of a factor for Philadelphia than it was during the process years, because you wanted to know who the Sixers were going to get potentially in the upcoming NBA draft, and you wanted to know who was ready. I remember watching Ben Simmons a hell of a lot at LSU. Markelle Fultz actually paying attention to Washington and what they were doing in college basketball. I never had more of a vested interest in college basketball than I did during the process years. And last night, I was taken back to a horrible, awful, no good, very bad memory of watching the Sixers during the process years and watching the team last night. I'm like, oh, okay, they're hanging in there, and they're going into halftime. And then in the third quarter, during the process years, the Sixers would get blown out of the water. That was like, Michael Carter Williams and company are keeping it close, you know? And then the third quarter would happen, and then they would just get outshot, outpaced, out-hustled. You know, they would get beat terribly because they were not a good basketball team, and every other team in the NBA was at least a decent basketball team. And the 76ers, who were trying to be terrible as a franchise, were in fact terrible, and it never showed more than it did in the third quarter. So I'm watching this game last night. The third quarter starts between the Golden State Warriors and your beloved 10-9-8 76ers, and the Sixers get blown out by 20 in the third quarter, 43-23. Now, Tyrese Maxey, God bless him. He wasn't supposed to play in last night's game, but he played in last night's game. God bless him. Played in the game, and you know what? I love that. The best thing about last night's game was that just Tyrese Maxey played. The other was Steph Curry getting Paul Reed at the top of the key, and just Paul Reed just like, here's the basket, just go, and Steph Curry did. That was entertaining, at least. A little mismatch. But watching the game last night reminded me of the process years. Seeing Tyrese Maxey at least play last night, although he played terribly, that was I love that he gutted it out to try to at least play for his team. He was dealing with an illness before the game, but you know what? If he's going to be a leader one day, that stuff doesn't just start. You know what I mean? That's got to kind of gradually build, and that's what at least I saw from him last night, him trying to play the game of basketball, and that didn't go well. Sixers lost 127-104. In total, Maxey had just 12 points in the game, 5 of 14 shooting, 2 for 7 from beyond the arc. Your leading scorer last night. I was Ricky Council. That was your leading scorer last night. After that was KJ Martin. I tell you all this, to tell you simply, sell. Now, I'm not trading Tyrese Maxey. All right. And I said yesterday, I don't want the Sixers to do anything. 3 p.m. deadline today, by the way. I didn't even mention that yesterday. I thought it was just understood, but I was listening to the show again yesterday. I was like, I didn't even mention that it was 3 p.m. tomorrow, meaning today. Sixers deadline today at 3 p.m. NBA trade deadline today. There's nothing out there that I think is plausible, especially when you hear from Woj. You'll hear from Woj in a second, talking about what the Sixers had fall through for them last night, at least for the time being. But the Sixers aren't getting over that hump, friend. Sixers aren't getting over that hump. If you could somehow trade Tobias Harris by 3 p.m. today, I'm a happy camper. And I like Tobias Harris. I'm not on the Tobias hate train. But something tells me that this surgery with Joel Embiid is not going to be great. His recovery, from this surgery is not going to be great. That he's going to need time to play himself into shape. And I, in no way, shape, or form, on February 8th, want Joel Embiid to have to rush back from an injury to try to help this team make the playoffs. That's right. Make the play. Not, get the 5th seed or the 6th seed or avoid a play-in game, just barely, but to actually come back and at least make the play-in and make the official playoffs. Don't need it. Don't want it. Rather the Sixers, and I hate that I'm saying this because we've been through the process and all that stuff, I just sell. I'd rather them be as bad as they possibly can and just move on with life. That's what I'd rather happen. Rather than them force anything and try to, we can still, try to get better before Joel Embiid comes back, because if he comes back and we've made some acquisitions, maybe we can push through. No, I don't think you can push through. I don't think this year doesn't feel like it for the 76ers. It felt like it maybe for Joel Embiid winning another MVP award, which, is nice to have, but not the reason to play the games. So I don't want to see the Sixers do anything drastic. Now, Woj, late last night with SVP, he was on SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt. Here is the latest we have on what the Sixers were trying to do and may still try to do before the 3 p.m. deadline.
They're really trying hard. I think Philly, one team that they had a lot of conversation with Detroit, Alec Burks, Bojan Bogdanovic. I'm told, that those talks largely broke down this evening, but Philly is all over the map trying to get some size, trying to get some shooting, some playmaking. They've been in a free fall here without not just Joel Embiid, but having players like DeAnthony Melton out and Tobias Harris. Tyrese Maxey was sick tonight, but I think this is still a team that thinks they can kind of get their anchor back and try to bide their time with some additions here until Joel Embiid can come back. But they're going to be really active. I think they'll make moves. It'll be a question of how significant they are.
All right. Well, you just gave us a pretty good idea there of how significant they will be. I believe you said, I thought it was Bojan Bogdanovic. The last name's easier than the first name, but whatever. A nice addition. You get a guy who with the Pistons is averaging just over 20 points per game. You're getting a guy who over the last 2 years shoots north of 40% from beyond the arc. He's certainly been around. He's made his rounds in the NBA. You can rely on him to knock down that outside shot a little bit more often than some people. But when it comes to Alec Burks, it's another go-around with Alec Burks. If you remember, there was that, and for whatever reason, Brett Brown just didn't want to play Alec Burks, and he ended up moving on with his career. But that's the caliber of player that the Sixers are looking at right now. They're not bad moves. I'm not trashing the moves. I wouldn't mind seeing them here in a 76ers uniform. But this is far from like getting a James Harden type of thing. Where, these are the guys that will really put us over the hump. No, these are guys that are glue guys, good guys to have. That's what they are. They're not game changers by any means. You get Joel Embiid back in the lineup, then your team is better. That, no question about it. But are they poised to make a championship run? No. And even if they do make these moves, it all comes down to Joel Embiid being ready or not being ready. Joel Embiid being healthy or not healthy enough to play in the postseason. Healthy or not healthy enough to actually help this team get a decent playoff seeding. That's what it comes down to. So if they want to unload a guy, if I see a pick moved, if the Sixers move a pick, I will flip the hell out. A first round pick. All right. No thank you. The one they got back into the James Harden deal. No, thank you. Do not do that under any circumstances. Well, if you're able to get that huge name that could really be a franchise-altering player, then by all means. But it doesn't happen. I mean, you're talking about trying hard right there from Woj about getting Bojan Bogdanovic. I think that lets you know the caliber you're at least right now. Hey, maybe this makes them shift. Maybe now we need to go in high gear. Yeah, no, that's not happening. Slow-moving day, a couple of trades yesterday, but still a slow-moving day. Everyone's been talking about throughout this whole process. It's been very slow leading up to the deadline. It's not as sexy as it's been in years past. But I urge the 76ers, I would love for them to be more on the sell side of things than anything else. That's where I'd like to see them go. And that's where we're at after that horrid basketball game last night against the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors looked like they were having fun. Nick Nurse even came after the game and just like, yeah, third quarter, man. We came out at halftime. We thought we were keeping it close, and then it wasn't close anymore. The minute I saw at the end of the night, I was like, who led them in scoring tonight? Because Ricky Council went off. And I was like, oh, damn. He was your leading scorer. Fun. That's where I'm at right now, folks. That's where I'm at. I don't know where you're at, but that's where I'm at when it comes to the 76ers. I want to get to our guest today because our guest has so much good stuff. He's been on the show a bunch. I'm a big fan of his. I've known Clay Harbor for, we met in 2010. I've known him for 14 years. All right. Awesome dude. And former tight end for the Eagles. One of his best plays, if you remember the bomb down the field from Michael Vick to Deshaun Jackson Monday night, the day that Donovan McNabb's huge contract was signed with the Washington football team at the time. There was a block being held on the outside. That was Clay Harbor. Went on, played some years there with the Jacksonville Jaguars in time. 8 years in the NFL. He works with Inside the Birds now, covering the league. NBC Sports Chicago. Had a little stint on the Bachelorette. And just really enjoyed talking birds. And we had a first. We had a first with Clay Harbor on the show. And a first. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, from Inside the Birds, NBC Sports Chicago, former Eagle, former Jaguar, former Chicago Bear, albeit brief, and New England Patriot, albeit brief. Tom Brady once apologized to him for overthrowing him, I believe, in a preseason game. Ladies and gentlemen, our friend Clay Harbor rejoins us to talk all things Eagles. Oh, this is a first, Clay. All right, Clay Harbor joining us here. This is a first. You have ordered your food. You're in Vegas for that little game that's going on there, right? You're in Vegas. You ordered food like an hour ago. It hasn't come yet, and once we hit record in this interview, they're going to start knocking on the door. So this has never happened. We might be interrupted because of a food delivery.
It was an hour and 15 minutes ago, and they said it would be 40 minutes. I just ordered a bowl. This is literally like it's called like the Healthy Bowl was the name with salmon. Salmon doesn't take long to cook. It's a healthy bowl of salmon. So I ordered, and it's been over an hour, and I still haven't got it. So I'm like, as soon as we start the podcast here at the Farzi Show, they're going to knock on the door, and my food should be outside. And I'm like, this is just perfect timing.
This is great. So at any moment, there could be I'll probably edit it out depending on how long it takes. I'll throw in a quick crossfade, and maybe you'll just be all of a sudden a bowl of salmon, and I assume some kale. I don't know. What do you eat with the
kale, quinoa, whatever you need to eat.
Oh, look at you.
You keep the arms looking good and everything. So, all that good stuff.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. See, I am at the point now, health-wise, where I will have half a glass of milk and then half a glass of in that same glass, like oat milk.
Okay. That's good, right?
So
what's the reasoning for that?
Just to tell myself I did something healthier than just having a glass of 2% milk.
I honestly, the 2% is better than the oat. The 2% is than the oat. Yeah, don't let the media. The 2% is better.
The media? You mean my wife? Come on.
My wife is wrong, man. I'll send you some podcasts I listen to from the best doctors in the world and health specialists and research I've done. All the oat and the almond, it's all filled with different additives. Obviously, It's a conversation for another time, but I will send you it, Farzi.
Fair enough. All right. So you're out there in Vegas. Go ahead and set the scene. You're brushing the elbows with anybody of note. How are you taking in the Las Vegas lights?
That was great. I got here this morning, landed, dropped my bags, went straight over to Radio Row, just did some, just walked around, did some interviews, just networking, got some cool events going on, like the Fat Hat event, the Sports Illustrated event, the Gatorade event tonight. So yeah, just networking and meeting people and going around and doing interviews, talking about, like you said, that little game that's going on here in a couple days.
What do you like? Let's get right into it as far as the Super Bowl goes. Do you like the Niners coming out here? Do you like the Kansas City Chiefs? Who do you like actually coming away as the champion for this season?
This is weird. I mean, it's like a weird season in my thoughts, because you look at the Chiefs during the regular season. I mean, this team just wasn't it. And going against the Ravens, I said there's no way the Chiefs win, but the Chiefs are one of the teams that can actually flip a switch. I didn't think it was possible. I've played in the NFL. I played 8 years, okay? I played in a lot of games. You don't just flip a switch. It's not like you're going out there in basketball. Maybe you're not giving 100. You're in the NFL, you have to give 100% effort every time. Every game matters. Every single game, you're going out there to win. You don't flip. The Chiefs flipped the switch. Patrick Mahomes, his last 204, he threw 14 picks this year. His last 204 snaps, hasn't thrown a pick. He's taking great care of the ball. These receivers had over an 8% drop rate, the worst in the league during the regular season. Over 8%, worse in the NFL. Decided to start catching the football all of a sudden. Oh, now they have great hands. These guys can catch. These guys can run routes. They can get open too. Oh, what happened here? They couldn't do that before. And then you go look at defensively. Spags, we all know Spags. Know him, love him from the Philly days. Love Spags. Spags, great coach. Unbelievable year. The Chiefs have never had a defense this good. This defense is incredible. Second defense in the league. I think Chris Jones is one of the most disruptive guys. 86 quarterback pressures, which is fourth in the NFL this year.
Jeez.
That's from the interior. The other top three guys are edge rushers. He's got 86 pressures from the interior. And there's this stat. It's a crazy stat, Farzi. I'm a good stat guy. Obviously, I like the playing and the analyst stuff, but a good stat for you. He is second in quick pressures, which is pressures under 2 seconds. And that's pressure right in your face. Only guy he's behind, Aaron Donald. So Chris Jones is a game wrecker. And if you watch the film, what you'll see is he can move along that front. And I don't know if you just heard.
Oh, was that the knock? Was that the knock?
Game. Yes.
Oh, do your thing.
I will hold that thought, go get my healthy bowl here, and be right back.
You got it. All right, we are leaving off on Chris Jones and his quick pressure rates. Let's see how long. Okay, so at 5 minutes into the interview, the meal arrived. This is a first on the Farzi Show where a guest is having their food delivered during the interview.
I said it right here.
Sounds like it's being wheeled into the room.
Water as well.
We'll do that.
If you need anything else, we are a 24-hour kitchen, so feel free to give us a call anytime.
Appreciate it.
Here. Perfect.
All right, thanks,
Thank
buddy.
you so much, everyone. I'll take that garbage.
Thanks.
You have a good one, okay?
Yep. Thanks.
My favorite part is when they said they're a 24-hour kitchen, and I was like, between ordering and then getting your meal, 24
Yeah,
hours?
is that the time it takes to get your food? Okay, I left off at the. I know you're on the edge of your seat waiting for the statistic.
Yes.
The quick hurry rate, the quick hit rate, 2 seconds before you get pressure. He's number 2 behind Aaron Donald. That pressure in your face is killer, especially for a young quarterback like Brock Purdy. So I like the Chiefs, but then again, Farzi, the one problem the Chiefs have is running the football. And guess who you're playing against? The Chiefs defense, their one problem is stopping the run. You're playing against Christian McCaffrey. And they're not so good in base package. They're good when they get to bring in their defensive backs. Guess who has a really good base package? George Kittle, Kyle Juszczyk, 2 of the best at their position in the league. You get in base package, you run the ball. We know Kyle Shanahan doesn't love to keep staying to the run like the Ravens should have. You stick to the run, big package, they can control the game. So that's how I see the 49ers winning. But I think it comes down to Patrick Mahomes is too good. Andy Reid, I like Andy. Obviously, he's the coach that drafted me back in 2010 in the 4th round to our Birds. But I'm taking the Chiefs. I think the 49ers, they got so many weapons, could win. They got a great defense as well, but it's hard to go against Pat Mahomes, the GOAT.
I am pretty much the same as you as far as, oh, wait, they have Patrick Mahomes. Because I thought this, your line of thinking is so similar to mine in that I went into that Ravens game, and it's like, if the Chiefs win this game, they're winning the Super Bowl because they have no business winning this game against the Ravens. They controlled the game. Their defense was great, obviously, throughout that game. And when push came to shove, they just made the bigger plays when they had to make the plays because you have that connection of Patrick Mahomes to Travis Kelce. You have that ability of Patrick Mahomes to, similar to Lamar Jackson, extend the play, but also find the receiver open downfield. And that ultimately was going to be the X factor. I made the joke. I used to work with a guy named Al Morgani, and he would talk about hockey. Why do we even call it hockey? We should just call it goaltending. Why do we even call it football? We should just call it quarterbacking. That really is what it comes down to a lot of times.
Literally, the who has the best quarterback wins most of the games. I mean, that's as simple as it is. And sometimes when it comes to like sports betting and stuff and like who's going to win, to me, the first thing you do go, okay, who's playing against who? Which quarterback's playing against which quarterback? And I have tremendous respect for Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy, 113 passer rating this season, is number 1 all time in 49ers history. They've had a couple of good quarterbacks. They had a couple, Steve Young, Joe Montana.
Joey Zaza getting a shout out. Yeah.
Joe Montana. I mean, this guy's incredible. I mean, he's number 1 passer rating against the blitz. You know, Spags likes to blitz. You blitz Brock Purdy, this guy's going to make you pay. Number 1 is like over 120 passer rating against the blitz, which is unheard of. So this guy is tough to get flustered. And I know I'm going back and forth right now on what I said, but you can make a case for either one of these teams.
Right, but you have the Chiefs.
I have the Chiefs. I do. Have the
See that? Chiefs. You're not on the fence.
Colton McKinnon, their right tackle, obviously they have one of the best left tackles in NFL history, in my opinion, is a weakness. And I foresee Chris Jones on 3rd down and long, so maybe they won't have to blitz lining up across from him. Obviously, you could chip him, but I think you could get some pressure without sending the blitz, and maybe that throws Purdy off. But they got to keep him in 3rd in longer situations because if you're in that base package with the 49ers, they're just a tough team to beat, man.
Hey, playing for Jacksonville as long as you did, I know you had to play at least a handful of games in London, a bunch of international games. How many games did you play in total overseas?
3 London games, man. We were over in Wembley Stadium all 3 times. Obviously, I was with the Jaguars, so we lost. And we won one.
Oh, yeah, Sir Blake Bortles, no?
Yeah, Blake Bortles. We won 1 game. I can't remember exactly which team we beat that, but I feel bad for them. They get on a plane. They just lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars all the way home from London. That is a sad trip. But we got blown out twice. We won 1. But those overseas games, obviously the Birds, you're talking about the Birds going to Brazil. It's different, man. Sao Paulo, it's going to be dude. I went to Rio. I went to Rio for a week. This was a couple of years back. I ended up staying for 2. I extended my trip. It's a tough place to leave. Okay? It's a hard place to leave, Farzi. It's going to be, you got to go over there and just say, this is a business trip. Because if you take a step on that beach, you might be missing some of these Eagles players. They might not show up to the game. I'm telling you, man, it was tough to leave that beach. Brazil is everything you think it was, man.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't been to Brazil. I've only the South America.
Go.
Yeah.
Stay married, man. Stay married.
Thank you for that advice.
Nice.
Like the oat milk, I'll pass that along to the missus.
Yeah, stay married.
Fantastic. So, all right. Other than the distractions of the beach, when it comes to playing internationally, what goes into, now obviously you were playing in London, that's far from Brazil, but just in terms of the international trip, what effect do you think it has when it's week 1, especially as it is for the Eagles, as it will be in Brazil? What advice would you have for anyone that's got to travel for an international game?
Insane distraction. And, I was a guy that I would focus during the season and make sure, but there were guys that were going out, they were seeing the city, they were going to bars and stuff. And that when you have that's when you start to see some distractions and you start to see some play decrease. So for me, it's about your routine. You got to find a routine and you got to get over there early, which makes it hard because, if you get over there early, you give these guys more of a chance to really get in trouble, whatever, but you make them stay somewhere off, way off where they can't really do much. Sao Paulo's a fun city, been there, but you have to make sure that you are on your routine. You get over there early, you get used to the time because that plane will throw you off. You get your sleep. You try not to sleep. You get over. There's a whole bunch of stuff we did. Your nutrition, your sleep schedule, and the fact that it's the first game of the year is just an insane distraction that the league. I understand what they're trying to do. If you zoom out the lens, they're growing the brand. There's expected to be 200 million viewers of the Super Bowl this year. There's only 350 million population in the country. It's pretty crazy. They want to grow it overseas, man, but this is going to be a distraction. You got to make sure you over-prepare, you study, you don't get distracted. And then just as important as before the game is after the game, because you're going to be on that plane taking that long flight back. So you got to rest up, you got to hydrate in that plane ride home, and you got to get right back into your routine. And the Eagles have a veteran roster. Hopefully Kelsey comes back. Hopefully Fletch comes back. Hopefully BG comes back, and you keep some of these veterans. Jalen Hurts, he's not a guy you have to worry about. He's one of the most just laser-focused guys. He's got to improve on what he did at the end of last season. But you got a lot of veterans in that locker room. Lane, obviously, Jordan Mailata. You got some guys there. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith aren't going to not be focused. So, to me, maybe that could be an advantage for the Eagles. Obviously, defense is a little bit younger right now. But you have the veterans. They know how to do things right. They know how to study. They know how to focus. And they know you're going over here for a reason. So to me, that's really what it comes down to is you can get distracted. I've seen it. I've seen guys out before the game. We lose the game. They go out after the game. What do you do? We just got our butts kicked. And I got a funny story. Maybe I'll tell you about the guys after the game. The second time in London, we lost. I stayed in. I said, I'm going to rest up, get ready to fly in the plane. So we waited to the next day to fly home. Half the team goes out. And 3 of our players ended up getting jumped by a bunch of Brits. A bunch of Brits jumped them, and they looked like Rocky Balboa in the 10th round, man. I mean, face was all swollen up because they were out doing stuff they shouldn't have been. The team left. There was 3 guys left, and apparently they were talking to some Brit's girlfriend or something. And these guys came back, and one of them just saw the 2 guys getting jumped by like 15 dudes. And I respect the heck out of this guy. He's like, man, what do I do? Do I go in there and try to help, or do I just stay out and, kind of just – he went in there. He took out a couple of guys, but afterwards he got overwhelmed too. I say all that to say, it's a distraction, and you got to make sure you keep these guys laser focused on what you're there for. And for it to be the first game of the season is tough too.
As Sean Connery said in the third Indiana Jones, Sean, we're pilgrims in an unholy land. So yeah, it could be a rough one out there, but that's great advice. Don't get your ass beat by the locals.
It's a business trip.
By the townies.
I know you're excited. You're out of the country. It's cool. No, it's a business trip.
Fair enough. If you had to go back on this season right now, and one of the things I always do during Super Bowl week, especially, and more often than not when the Eagles are not playing in the Super Bowl, I think about why aren't the Eagles in the Super Bowl? When you go back over this season of all the things that went wrong for the Eagles, if you could reset one thing that might not have allowed the Eagles to sink, what would you have reset? What's the reason this team sank?
One thing reset. I mean, I would say, well, honestly, I wouldn't move Matt Patricia to defensive coordinator. I mean, I know you're worried about that. And I'm not saying they would have been much better, but they would have been better. They could have had a fighting chance at the end instead of these guys running around, not knowing the calls, not being used to the calls. If I'm playing halfway through the season, all of a sudden there's a new offensive coordinator in there. He's calling new stuff. Hey, what the heck's going on? Mm-hmm. Now I'm playing instead of playing fullback, I'm playing tight end, or instead of playing tight end, now he wants me to move, or he set me. It's like, dude, I need to prepare an OTAs, training camp, preseason, practice to get better and better and better and better till you get to a point where in the end of the season, it's just coasting. It's just second nature, and you're just firing. But to change that in the middle of the season, it was just wild to me. Like I couldn't understand. Obviously, you want to make a change, but at that point in the year, to switch that up, you couldn't do it.
I agree. Overall, quarterback play of Jalen Hurts. You said you never have to worry about Jalen Hurts. Why the step back, or was it more of an overall offensive step back for this Eagles team?
You don't have to worry about his focus.
Okay.
Because he's a guy that is like, there's guys out there, our quarterback in Chicago. I was out at a birthday party at a nightclub in Chicago called Tao Nightclub. And this was a couple of years back. He was a rookie, but I literally my buddy tapped. He goes, "Yo, check it out." And I go, "What?" And I look over, and it was our quarterback out, and this was on a Friday when you have a game on Sunday. And I go, "Okay, that's crazy. You should be at home watching film." But that's something Jalen Hurts would never do. This guy's all football all the time, so you don't have to worry about his focus. For me, I don't think he was healthy. At least I hope he wasn't healthy, or just him and Brian Johnson just didn't get along, because you start watching some of the stuff. His reads were off. Like when it comes to the run play action stuff, sometimes I thought he could have pulled the ball and ran. Instead, he's throwing it, or he's giving it to the running back. I felt like it's like a pitcher, man. If you have a pitcher with 3 really good pitches or 4 really good pitches, he's got a fastball, a slider, and a changeup. You take away that slider, you take away Jalen Hurts' legs, this guy's just throwing fastballs and changeups. He's not going to be the same pitcher. And to me, you took away one of his weapons. He wasn't the same guy running the ball. You couldn't see it. He was the best. Go back and watch on the 2022. He was the best zone read quarterback in the NFL. I watch Chicago. I watch Justin Fields all the time. Not even close. Jalen Hurts was the best zone read quarterback in the league. He was so smart with his decisions. He could get into these crevices. He never hesitated to pull the ball and run. And that's a huge down the difference. Every yard matters, and he just wasn't doing that. And the RPO game seemed to falter because of it and his decision making. And then obviously, end of the year, you start to see the zero blitz stuff. I don't know if it's Jalen or the play calls, but the protection wasn't right. The route concepts were terrible, and overall, their blitz schemes, like you have a whole day dedicated to blitz when you're when you're putting in your game plan. Whole day. You go in front, it's blitz. We're just doing blitz today. 3rd down and blitz. You're telling me the whole day of practice, you guys don't expect blitz to be coming? You play the week before against Wink Martindale and the Giants, and you come in the next week knowing that they're going to do the same exact thing. The first thing you do when you get in the meeting rooms should be correct the zero blitz. We're going to get better routes. We're going to get better protections. We're going to get better audibles. No, nothing.
So how optimistic should Eagles fans be in the change of a offense controlled now by Kellen Moore? How excited should Eagles fans be and what they could see with this offense with Kellen Moore running the show?
I love Kellen Moore. I love the hire. I think he's one of the most underrated play callers in the league, man. I think this guy, you look at his time in Dallas, he was a top 10 scoring and points offense 3 straight years. The guy in 2022, he led the league in red zone efficiency. He had over 71% red zone scoring percentage, number 1 in the league by a wide margin. The guy knows how to score in the red zone. And the Eagles have weapons. They have weapons. Obviously, we don't know if they're bringing Swift back. Don't know what they're doing at running back. They need a 3rd receiver. I think they need a 2nd tight end. I think Calcaterra has some promise, but he's injured. He has some issues. And you got Jack Stoll, I think, regressed this year. So I think you could add a couple pieces there. But Kellen Moore, I mean, this guy led the league in yards and total offense twice when he was with the Cowboys, which is very impressive. 2nd in yards in 2022. And he's got a great pedigree. Obviously, last year with the Chargers wasn't great. But you look at him before all the Herbert injury stuff. He was still top 5 offense. Herbert was throwing top 5 quarterback still. So this guy, he's a former player. I think he'll connect with Jalen through that. I love playing for former players because they could relate to us. They knew what we're going through in practice. They knew what we're seeing on the field, just not some coach that's coaching us that's never done it before. And obviously there's some great coaches that have never done it before. Bill Belichick, Andy Reid, those aren't guys that have played big time football, but they're great coaches. But I always like playing for the guys that had played before. Kellen Moore, in my opinion, is an up-and-comer. I think it was a great hire, and I like Vic Fangio too.
I was just going to ask you, Vic Fangio a little bit. What do you make of Vic Fangio, and what can Eagles fans expect from his defense with him actually running it?
I think it's good. I think you got some talent still. Obviously, I think you need to bring in a couple edge rushers. I think the Eagles, obviously, but the Dolphins were 9th in sacks last year, which wasn't great, but he worked with what he had. I think they were 10th in overall defense and yardage, which was solid for the team he had. I think it's a safe pick. You're not going to end up with some guy that doesn't know what he's doing out there, that's just getting plays random all over. This guy has written books on defense. We had plays called Vic Fangio, like before, like defense, like literally like plays called Fangio, Vic and Fangio. That's how much this guy is respected in NFL circles. He's one of the brightest defensive minds out there. Obviously, he's getting up there in age. He's been coaching for 40 plus years, but I like that. I think to go from where you were with Desai to Fangio, I mean, you're kind of going with like an opposite right there. The young guy, you're giving him a chance, up and come. All right. We know this guy's been around. We're not going to be surprised, but he is steady Eddie. He knows how to call defenses. He's done it a billion times. So let's go here. And you don't have to be great. I'm not telling the defense to be the number one, but you want to be top 10. If you're top 10, I think with your offensive weapons, with AJ, Devontae, and Jalen, obviously you're bringing back Mylott on Lane. Don't know about your interior yet with Kels, but with these guys in place, I think your offense should be really where you make your money.
All right. Can I take a guess for the Vic and the Fangio defensive plays? Did they involve quarters?
I think they did. I think they did. Yeah. Yeah.
Wild guess. Just lucky guess.
Pretty good. Pretty good call right there.
Was that when you were in Jacksonville?
No, it was actually New England. New England. Like not Matt Patricia. Like Josh McDaniels. We would have one word for coverages or certain specific things, and like
wow,
because he was like such a big defensive, person. So
they're doing the Fangio thing. They're doing the Vic thing. They're doing that. That's
yeah. He was literally a call we had.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I do want to ask you. So Bill Belichick is without a job for longer than I can remember. He is not involved in an NFL season. You played with him, albeit briefly, up there in New England. Yeah. Your takeaways from Bill Belichick and your reaction to him not getting one of the many head coaching jobs that were available.
Well, dude is old, man. I mean, I'll be honest. Dude is old. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Like, dude's like 72 years old. The only thing, like, age doesn't matter in our country. And, like, pilots have to stop flying at 65. Unless you're our president, you don't have to worry about, like, getting old, like, because we love our freaking president's old, man. But the dude is just, he's old. He's old school. I love Belichick. I still think he's got some, he could coach, but like, how long could you stay there? Like, I mean, they probably want a long-term guy, or at least the possibility that obviously the coaches are getting fired after 2 and 3 years now.
Right.
But he hasn't shown he can win without Tom Brady. He hasn't adapted to the times. He isn't great as a general manager. I think if you have a GM and you tell Belichick to coach, that he is still one of the best coaches in the NFL, but his GM skills has let him down. Obviously, Mac Jones is not the answer there. And then some of his hires, man. I mean, offensive coordinator Matt Patricia. I mean, he had some weird hires there in New England since the time of Brady.
Yeah,
he's shown like lately he hasn't been able to win. So I'm not shocked.
Not shocked. That is pretty funny. There's. Damn it. To make sure I asked you. The Senior Bowl. You were down at the Senior Bowl. Yeah. Anybody jump out to you that could be of use to the Philadelphia Eagles?
Yeah, a couple guys I like that I was thinking could be in Philly. First is for a number 2 tight end. Obviously, you don't want to go first 2 rounds for a tight end, but there's this guy named Ben Sinnott from Kansas State who's 6'4", 250, and dude, he wasn't getting a lot of hype. But I played with Gronk. I played with Ertz. I played with Eric Ebron, Kobe Flynn. I've seen a lot of tight ends. This dude can play. He can straight up play. He can block. He can catch. You can put him and Goddard on the line. You can run either way. And he is a fast guy that can catch the ball. Ben Sinnott from Kansas State. Other tight end I think his name was Theo Johnson from Penn State. The dude he isn't the guy that can flex out and do as much as Ben Sinnott can, but he was just a big dude. He was like 6'6", 260 pounds. He could block. Good hands. He was a solid player too. So those were 2 mid-round tight ends that I really liked out there. And receiver-wise, I thought there was a number of guys. And Ladd McConkey is a guy that might slide up a little bit too high for the Eagles. But I thought, man, he would fit in well in the slot with Devontae and AJ out wide if they had a guy in the slot that could work like him. And let me pull up my notes real fast.
Yeah, he had a hell of a day. He had a hell of a day at the Senior Bowl, yeah.
Yeah, he was great. I really liked Marshawn Lloyd from USC, the running back. He was great. And Tyler Guyton, big offensive tackle. If they want to go offensive tackle, this kid from Oklahoma, he could just straight up move. Former basketball player, super athletic. He's big. He looks like the Mount in the Game of Thrones, but he was a freak. And they're saying he's a chance to fall to the Eagles at their pick. And then Ricky Pearsall, Florida wide receiver, had the catch of the year this year in college football. He's a guy that plays outside mostly, but can play inside. I think if you move this guy to the slot, he would have a ton of success in the slot, especially in that system with those wide receivers outside. And the last guy I want to talk about would be Xavier Leggett. Okay, Xavier Leggett, he's 6'3", 225 pounds. He's a big receiver, and he's a guy that actually plays slot. So to me, he's another guy I think the Eagles could use. Obviously, I'm watching tight ends, receivers, offensive line, offensive guy. But Quinyon Mitchell, if you're looking for a cornerback, I know the Eagles needed help there. That guy from Toledo could really play. Man, he was good. He was up in people's faces, could jam. He was long and lanky, and he's around the Eagles pick in the first round there. So I think he's a guy that the Eagles could really take.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Clay, I know that your salmon, quinoa, kale salad is getting cold. Unless it's already cold because it's been like 2 hours since you ordered it. I don't know.
I had no reservations that this wouldn't be cold when it got here. So it's completely fine. And honestly, I don't eat for taste, Farzy. Try it out, man. I eat for health. You eat for your body, and it's been great for me. 37 years old. I feel like I could go back on the field and play some football.
Well, if the Eagles don't draft any of these other tight ends, you might be. You might be.
No, Ben Sinnott, man. That's the guy.
Okay.
That's the guy. Look out for him. Remember,
fair enough. All right. Now, the difference between you is me. I eat not for I eat to honor my ancestors, and that's a problem because they're just carbs on carbs on carbs on carbs.
Yeah.
That's it. That's a lot of carbs. That's it. Clay Harbor, always a pleasure catching up with you. Enjoy your week out there. Make sure you check out your stuff also with Inside the Birds. I know you do a lot of stuff with NBC Chicago as well. So make sure everyone's following Clay Harbor on social media as well. Clay, always great catching up. Enjoy the salmon, enjoy the kale, enjoy the quinoa, and safe travels, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
There he is. The man, the myth, the legend. His name is Clay Harbor. Looking at his Ben Sinnott fellow out of Kansas State. He is a big 6'4". Yeah, 6'4". 676 catches. That'd be a record. Yards last year, 6 touchdowns, 49. And you use promo code Farzy, you download the app, you create an account, use promo code Farzy. You know what you get? You get 100. What you get is $1,000 redeemable cash bonus. How's that sound? Right before the big game. You get it right there at mybookie.ag when you use promo code Farzy and you create an account after you download the app. You want to bet on the big game? You can bet on the big game. Want to bet on basketball? You can bet on basketball. Bet on just about anything. TV shows, world of politics, all of it. Clay touched on politics there. Bet on all of it right there at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Make sure you use promo code Farzy. How about the amazing people at the Game Time app? The Game Time app is incredible. You want to go to the game? The Game Time app is how you get tickets. Game Time app, gametime.co. And if you use promo code Farzy when you create an account, you'll get $20 off your first purchase. We're here to help, people. We're here to help. So download the Game Time app and use promo code Farzy to get $20 off your first purchase. You can view your tickets, the venue, the seat, all that with the Game Time app. Also, this is fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. You know what else you can do? If you find tickets for less money elsewhere, the Game Time app will get you back at 110% of the difference. That's the Game Time app for you. So make sure you check it out. Game Time app, promo code Farzy. How about Sky Motorcars? SkyMotorcars.com. Check out all their amazing inventory at SkyMotorcars.com. And PHL Sports Nation. Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how you wonderful people are doing. Buddy Christ, good morning. Clay is awesome. He's great on Inside the Birds with Cosell. Greg Cosell is fantastic. Very personable and genuine. He's the real dude, man. Like I said, I met him 13, 14 years ago. I was doing a bar event weekly with Reuben Frank, my good friend Reuben Frank. and Clay was a guest of ours at this show, and he's the same dude. Goes on to play 7 more years in the NFL, goes on to national stardom with The Bachelor, becomes a great analyst for NBC Sports Chicago, obviously working with Inside the Birds as well, does a fantastic job. You just heard him breaking down the NFL, breaking down the Eagles, everything, and good storyteller, and very kind to a service person who was very late delivering his food. He's still the same dude. I met 13, 14 years ago. Awesome guy. Bush 1G, what's going on? Top of the morning, William Stark. Nice to see you. Jason A, hello. Sean Kilrain, Buddy Christ. Drink those cappuccinos and smoke them if you got them, Farzy. If I made cappuccinos in the morning before I did, or cappuccini, if I did that before I did the show, I'd be even more late than I usually am to start the show. April, morning, April. Sean Kilrain. Andre Drummond is a name that I've seen a bunch of times. We talked about him yesterday, and yeah, I wouldn't mind a surprise trade either. Yeah, it's always nice to know you did something, I guess. It's more the result of the trade. I'm not talking about the Sixers. Oh, they made this trade. Now they're going to win the championship. No, it's not like that. I'm just talking about, they did something. They did something. It's always nice to see them do something. I don't have big expectations. Andre Drummond, I'd be all for. Andre Drummond, given the idea you don't have to give up a lot. So, yeah, that's where I'm at as far as that goes. Sean Gillespie, what's happened? Buddy Christ sees Embiid coming back in the second round of the playoffs. Can Maxey handle it? Look, I'm going to try to ignore what the hell happened last night. I'm going to try to ignore what happened against the Golden State Warriors and how bad Tyrese Maxey looked. He was sick. He gutted out a performance, if you will. I am not going to use last night as normal. The only thing, as I said earlier, I'm going to take away from last night's game is that he played. Despite not feeling well, despite his illness, he went out there, he played. All right? That's all I'm going to give him. He played. He didn't just say, I'm sick. No, I give him credit for at least playing. A multi-purpose interview. You're damn right it is. Yeah, I can't help it. I'm still a child. I love to have the peanut butter and jelly sandwich and milk. If that's usually a go-to snack, or a peanut butter burrito with the low carb balance tortillas. Okay, with the old tortillas there, I like to do the peanut butter burrito, which is to slather one of them Johns with peanut butter, and then a nice glass of milk right with it. But yeah, I'll tell my wife we'll go to the 2%. We'll have to keep 2 different milks in the house though, because little Leo, man, he likes his whole milk, and so does Daddy, as a matter of fact. But anyway, yeah. But I'm sure Clay tipped well. Very kind and giving man. This is why he's a top bachelor. What a beefcake. And a great personality. Hope the Eagles see how the Chiefs handled adversity. Yeah. That's the thing. All the drops this year. I mean, Valdez-Scantling against the Eagles, no better example. Facing a better opponent on the road in the Ravens and just handling the game, man. Just handling the game. No problem. That's exactly what they did, and they won. They just pulled focus, controlled the game, and that was that. Yet the Ravens destroyed the Winers regular season. Yes, they did. That was a fun game to watch. Woo! Brazil beaches. I need to go to Brazil once at least. I'm a sucker for traveling. Need to go to Brazil. By the way, I did reach out to the fan from Brazil, Gabriel, and we're going to get Gabriel on the show. And we're going to talk a little Eagles football and how he said he's been an Eagles fan for over 10 years. And he sent me a video of a bunch of fans celebrating in Brazil. So we're going to hook it up. We're going to get him on the program. We're going to talk some Eagles football. And I want to know how it all started. If there's this huge fan base in Brazil for the Philadelphia Eagles, for our beloved Philadelphia Eagles, I want to know the story behind it. I mean, we have a Chiefs bar in South Philly, Charlie's, right? Charlie's Saloon. I've been there many times, interviewed the people there many times. and awesome people. Absolutely awesome people. Who'd the Sixers get? No, the Sixers didn't get anybody. Look, I even commented. Sixers didn't get anyone yet because the deal for Alec Burks or Bojan Bogdanovic fell through last night, per Adrian Wojnarowski. Guyton has been keeping contact with Lane since he played at Oklahoma. Be a perfect fit. All right, Sean. I like it. I like kale and salmon. Yeah, it's pretty much a go-to. Last year, what the hell's going on here? Too scared to eat too many carbs. Haha, excess weight. Yeah, yeah, man. I gotta be careful too. Ooh, creamy or chunky, Farzy? I know this is bad. I'm a creamy guy. Enjoy the creamy peanut butter. I know it's chunky. You gotta have chunky. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I find with the chunky peanut butter, I do this a lot. Hey, like picking things out of my teeth. I don't have to do that. Thanks for you're welcome. Ew. Yeah, I know people are grossed out by me. Not by me, man. Sean Kilroy, met him last year at public practice with Fuji. A good dude to talk to. Yeah, no, he's awesome. Clay harboring on conspiracy theories there. That's pretty funny. That is pretty funny. Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful, as per usual. Let's get to our morning rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars, skymotorcars.com. 3 o'clock today, NBA trade deadline goes down. Sixers apparently kicking the tires, as I mentioned, on Alec Burks and former Sixer Alec Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic. So we'll see if that actually happens. Andre Drummond, as we mentioned, very much Sixers kicking the old tires there on him. So we'll see if that actually comes to fruition. Wouldn't mind any of the 3 names I just mentioned. The only thing for me is that the Sixers win the trade. I don't care if it's a second-round pick for someone that can help you right now, barely help you right now, but still help you right now, as long as they win the trade. As long as you go, oh, you didn't give up that much and you got that? Okay, fine. That's the only reaction I want. Not, oh my God, they gave up that and they got this. They're going to go to the championship. Joel comes back healthy. No, I don't need that. I'm not counting on that. I'm not expecting that. Very, very simple. So that's where I'm at right now with the 3 p.m. trade deadline today. As far as your 76ers go, play-wise, unfortunately, after taking it on the chin last night against the Golden State Warriors, unfortunately, after that, Sixers are going to have some. They're going to have some time. We're going to have this deadline go through today. Sixers fell to this 10 games over 500 with the festivities of last night's game. Lost their 3rd straight. They're off today. They travel to Atlanta tomorrow for a 7 o'clock tip-off. So that'll be fun. Your Philadelphia Flyers, though, ladies and gentlemen, are going to be back at it tonight, looking to make it 2 wins in a row. After taking care of business with a 2-1 victory over the Florida Panthers, they got the Winnipeg Jets tonight in South Philly for a 7 o'clock puck drop. If you remember, our man John Tortorella was addressing the media yesterday and said that he was very, very much encouraged and just overall liked the fact that they fought and won in the game against the Panthers. So they'll put that to the test tonight against the Winnipeg Jets. Jets coming to tonight's game 30-13-5. So they're pretty good at hockey this year. Go figure. That's the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Much appreciated as per usual. Make sure you guys smash the like button. Subscribe to The Farzy Show on YouTube, as well as subscribe to The Farzy Show on the Jacob Media YouTube channel as well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. My thanks to Clay Harbor for joining the show. And we'll be back with you guys tomorrow to break it all down with a Super Bowl preview. See you guys then. Bye.